So this video is the second part of the periodic table of elements. It's going to talk about a little bit more of the information contained in a periodic table. It's also going to dive into the metals, nonmetals, and noble gases just a little bit deeper. So last time we talked about the rows going left to right. And recall that the rows go left to right based on the number or its atomic number, the number of proteins. We get more proteins as we move to the right. Okay, so now we're moving in columns. Columns go up and down. Okay, so the columns are also known as families, a group of elements with similar properties arranged together in a column of the periodic table. Think about your family, okay? You have similar properties as your family, whether that family is your best friend group, your grandparents, your parents, maybe your aunt and uncles, whoever takes care of you or is your support system, they're your family. And they most likely have similar properties or similar thoughts as you. You're not gonna be friends with someone that has completely different beliefs in life. It's just, at the end of the day, it's most likely not going to work out. It's the same thing here. They are going to react similarly with other kinds of matter. So this is where we get fun. This is where the big explosions happen. So I think I have a video I'm going to show you today with some rather kind of fun explosions to look at. So these three in particular, what we're looking at over here, lithium, sodium, potassium, and even the next three below it, rubidium, cesium, I don't know FR. Sorry, guys. These three are solid at room temperature. They are soft, shiny, and silvery, and they react strongly with water. So you can see here I made some notes, okay, in case you want to follow along with what I'm reading. Each of these families, notice that there's 18 of them, okay, are going to react similarly. So these are all fairly reactive with water. This next group, this is going to be your minerals, stuff that you need to have in your body, magnesium, calcium. Those are things that are essential for you. Over here on the edge, we have the noble gases. These guys are noble because they don't need anyone. Remember I told you in the last video that the magic number is 8. 8 electrons. These guys have it. They have that full shell of electrons on the outside. They don't need anyone. These right here, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, I believe. These are fairly reactive, but they're all gases, minus iodine, I believe. Okay, fluorine and chlorine for sure are gases. So before I put my foot in my mouth and get something wrong, let's move on. So the metals. The metals are a group of elements that share the following characteristics. They're all solid at room temperature. Basically any metal you can think about. Okay, iron, gold's a metal, copper, cobalt, all metals. Mercury is a toxic, super duper toxic metal that we used to put in thermometers and put straight into our mouths. And then we realized that mercury is really actually bad for us, so we stopped doing that. Don't do that. They can be polished to look shiny. So you might have heard of someone like jokingly saying like that they had to polish brass back in the day so that it looked shiny. Brass itself is actually, I believe, an alloy. So not quite the same, but metals can be polished so that they look shiny. Silver, you can polish silver so that it looks nice and shiny again. There's a better example. The shape can be changed. Another word for that is malleable. Okay, you might have to heat it up really, really, really hot and pound it with a really, really heavy hammer, but all of them can be changed in shape in some sense. Think of some softer metals. One of the softest ones that I can think of is aluminum. Once you drink that soda can, you crush it up and kick it across the yard, and then you go pick it up because you don't like the litter. You're so big and tough because you just crushed that can. You're like, yeah, I just crushed that can. Okay. Some of them are a little bit tougher than that, though. They're a little harder. You got to use some hydraulic presses and some really extreme heat. But some are very shiny. Even gold is actually fairly soft. If you go home, if someone in your family is married or just wears a ring, quite frankly, ask them to take off their ring. It's most likely not a perfect circle anymore. Most likely there's a little bit of an oval shape. There might be a dent. So I might actually ask you to do that. Go home and look at someone's ring and see if it's a perfect circle, because gold is fairly soft. It does get bent. You have to take your rings back into jewelers at some point in your life to get it circularized at some point. Otherwise it starts to feel funny on your finger. Electricity can travel through metals. So they always say during a lightning storm to put on rubber shoes and to get away from anything metal. We use metal as a lightning attractor, like a lightning pole. We stick them on top of big tall buildings, and then when the lightning strikes, it will go to the pole first before it hits you. So electricity can actually travel through metal. That's why think about your iPhone charger or your Android charger or whatever charger you have. That's metal touching another piece of metal. And then it goes through the wire into your phone, and now you can get back on Snapchat and Instagram for another couple hours. Or do your homework, because you're responsible. 80% of the elements on Earth are metal. So here's just a chunk of iron. Nothing too exciting to look at. It's shiny-ish. Iron's pretty hard, but it can be bent. Okay, so it fits all of these 5 characteristics here. Non-metals. So just like a non-smoking section, you're not allowed to smoke. It's the same thing here. These are not metals. So they don't have the same properties as metals. However, this group is not quite as organized. The other group had solid. They can conduct. They can change shape. They had 5 characteristics that were consistent. Not these guys. They're all different. Okay. So most are either solid or gas at room temperature, but they can look very different from one another. So oxygen is a clear gas, and sulfur is a yellow solid, and neither of them are metals. So that's one of the characteristics, is that it's not metal. Oxygen is not metal, boron's not metal, neon's not metal, the sulfur here, not metal. So basically what I need you to think about is it's either metal, excuse me, I'm so rude, metal, or it's not metal. Okay, that's basically all you need to know up here. There is one more group, and I kind of already previewed them. They're called the noble gases. So these guys are, I like to think of them as noble. They don't need anyone. This is the column all the way to the right of your periodic table. They are something called inert. They don't react or combine with any other element. They mind their own business. Okay, this is that one person in the cafeteria that doesn't get sucked into someone else's drama, because they don't need it. Neon is perfectly happy going inside this little glass tube and becoming an apple and staying an apple its whole entire life. Same thing with helium. Helium's a little bit of a different story, but it's kind of the same. Helium doesn't need anyone. It's perfectly fine just being helium, going in balloons, getting sucked into your mouth so your voice goes really high-pitched. I think it's hilarious. I know my mom always used to yell at me, but I think it's great. So they have a complete set of electrons. They don't need any more. They don't want any more. They don't want to get rid of their own. Think of it this way. Like if you had, let's say you were going to buy a new pair of, let's think of something, of sunglasses, and they're $15, and you have exactly $15 in your pocket. Well, you don't want to loan your buddy $5, and you certainly don't want to go buy that pretzel before you go buy your sunglasses. You want to have exactly enough so you can buy your sunglasses. It's the exact same thing here. They have exactly enough. They don't want to share. They're greedy, and that's perfectly fine. So here's your periodic table. Yours looks a little different in your notes, but you can kind of see the same trends here. So everything in red is metal. Notice that's a lot. Okay, we have them all over the place. I can name a couple. So we have lithium, sodium, potassium, like I said, rubidium, I think, cesium, magnesium, calcium. I don't know many of those. Iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. Here's gold. I think that's silver. Ag, I think is silver. Okay, so we have, anyway, we have all of these metals all over the place. We're not going to worry about these metalloids too much here in middle school science. Okay, we're going to save that for 9th grade or maybe 10th or 11th grade. Just know that they're sort of like metal and they're sort of not metal. They're a little bit of both. But the only other one we are worried about is non-metals. That are these guys over here. Okay, so they're not metals. Gas, carbon's a gas. It can also be a solid. Okay, the stuff inside of a fire extinguisher is carbon. So just fun fact. The ash from a cigarette butt is carbon. Nitrogen is in a gas. It's actually most of what you're breathing in right now. 78% of the air around you is carbon, or is nitrogen, excuse me. Oxygen is really good for you. Little old ladies breathe it straight into their nose because they need it. Fluorine is that fluoride that goes on your teeth when you go to the dentist. Neon makes those neon signs. Sulfur, chlorine. Chlorine is part of salt. it combines over here with sodium. So they're way on opposite sides of the table here. And I think I told you why. This guy has one extra electron. This guy needs an electron. They're going to share. Sharing is caring. Okay. We do need to point out that the noble gases are way over here. Okay, so this last column contains the noble gases. They are stable. Remember, they have those 8. It's that solid magic number. Write it down if you can, if you want to. That's cool. I probably won't make it a test question, though. That's a little mean. We'll save that for high school. Okay, so they have everything they need. They have exactly $15 for sunglasses. They don't want to give any money up. So I think that's it for my video. Yes, it is nothing too difficult today, I don't think, in regards to notes. But if you're still confused on literally anything at all, come let me know. I will happily answer your question. If not, go back to Google Classroom or look up at the front whiteboard to figure out where you need to go next.